West Virginia continues to dominate, continues to surprise, and I just have to say it. This team is starting to look Final Four good.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up? Welcome back in, guys. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. This is Locked On West Virginia. What's going on, man? Are we actually having good news again? It's almost like I'm in a fever dream that I can't wake up from. Rich Rod's back. The recruiting trail is open and going well, according to some of the reports I'm hearing. We'll get more on that in the next couple of days. We pulled a guy from Oklahoma. Pat McAfee continues to plug us. Our basketball program is in 2010 form. What is going on here? I got to crack a do and talk about it, because let me just tell you, this team is Final Four good, man. I think I don't feel great about Tucker coming back, just personally. It's just my personal feeling. I don't know if it's going to matter ultimately. And look, Final Four is like pie in the sky, really. But I think this team has a shot because of Darren DeVries. What he's able to do as a coach gives us an advantage on most nights, and we jump out big and ridiculous leads because of his scouting and his on-the-floor coaching. Now, what's going to hurt us is, had we played a better team tonight, we probably lose that lead. It's very much like this is becoming a problem for this team, which, first of all, in order to lose a lead, you have to have a lead, right? So I don't want to overstate this, but like, this team's getting out the leads on people. That includes Kansas, guys, and you're giving them up. Although tonight's wasn't as egregious, this team's got an issue somewhere along the lines with slowing down. I think it has to do with, this is my opinion, I think Javon Small has to be 100% max effort for this team to be as good as it can be throughout the game. And whenever we get out to a big lead, I think Javon needs a rest. And we just don't have another guy that can push us to the upper echelons of what this team can be without him. I think Tenner's, good, and I think he's, he does a lot of good things for us. But we don't have another guy like Javon who we can sub in and keep the flow and tempo and the continuity going. So that's, that could be the biggest Achilles heel for this team. In the tournament, it doesn't matter if guys play 40 minutes. Throughout the season, it does, because guys have to rest, man. This is my biggest fear, is that we're peaking too early. But if this team can continue to play this way, continue to win, continue to just blow expectations out of the water, there's no reason this team can't get into a tournament setting and absolutely beat teams. We saw it in Maui. They beat a more talented team in Gonzaga. They beat a more talented team on paper, anyways, in Arizona, even though Arizona hasn't shown to be what they were supposed to be. They've got really good players. And then they should have beat Louisville, and who's got a lot of talent as well. More money, that's for sure. Louisville's budget compared to ours is like double, maybe triple. So, this team continues to beat teams with more money, and it has a lot to do with DeVries and other guys like that. So thanks for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen, guys, and for being part of the Locked On Podcast Network. We talk about your team, the Mountaineers, every single day. By FanDuel, guys. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets. That's if you win your first $5 bet. Make sure you get to FanDuel to get started today. So let's check out the stat line on this game. It's going to look like, the second half probably really bad compared to the first half. But I think Imani Hansberry is obviously still hurt. So I do take that into the equation as well. Like, we're still without Imani, and we're still playing this well. Like, I just don't Listen, if you would have told us even after Maui, if I pulled you to the side and said, "Hey, look, West Virginia is going to lose Tucker and Amani Hansberry for multiple games, and you're going to be better as a result than you were before," I would say you're crazy because this team is not the same team that took the floor at Pitt. It's just not, right? It's the only explanation is coaching, and this is my biggest fear is long term. I think Darren DeVries is uh, whether we're able to keep him or not, it remains to be seen. But I do think he's going to be approached by larger level programs much sooner than we anticipated, just from what I've seen. Because as long as he's here, we're going to have a chance to win a national championship. And I would have never said that under Bob Huggins. And I know people are going to say I'm jumping the gun and that I am way out in front on this and that I still need to give it time to breathe and all this. I've seen enough out of Darren DeVries that I think he's capable of winning a national championship. I really, truly do. You look at what he did with Drake with lesser talent and how far they were able to go and how hard they pushed power level teams. And now you look at what he's doing here. It's truly shocking, man. It really is. I can't get over how well coached this team is, how great the young players play, how connected they are. It truly blows me away, and I just haven't seen it. Maybe it was just Bob Huggins was great for the style of ball was the Big East, and in this new European style ball that we play, it's not new, but like he said, the zoom actions and all the different actions that there are nowadays, a lot of pick and roll. It's a different style that Hugs just wasn't adapting to, and it was like everybody else is adapting to like everybody else is moving towards the spread, and you're still playing in the I formation or in the triple option in a lot of ways. Like you're trying to beat people with a rock fight, similar to how Oklahoma State was today in a lot of ways, right? That's the kind of style Hugs would try to play, although better than that. So let's get to the stat line. 69 to 50, got as high as 28. Man, what an ugly second half we played. So that plays a factor into this too. If we just played even half as well as we did in the first half, we win this game by 40 points, 30 points. So 69 to 50, though, is good in the Big 12 against the team that was 8-4. Guys, it's not like they were 5-8 or 4-9 or anything. They were 8-4 coming in let's look at their schedule. So they lost to Houston by 13, 57. So we beat them worse than Houston did. They beat Oral Roberts, Tarleton State. They lost to Oklahoma by 15. Let's see. They beat Seton Hall. They beat Tulsa. They lost to Nevada by 12. They did beat Miami. They lost to Florida Atlantic. So they've been up and down. Or wait, that was last year. My apologies. I went back too far. But yeah, so they've had some mixed results, no doubt about it. They played a few really good teams, obviously not any great teams yet that I can see on the schedule outside of Houston. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know what they're going to be throughout the rest of the year. I think they could still possibly be a fringe tournament team, but we'll see what happens, what remains for Oklahoma State. But certainly not the worst team that we have played this year. As far as the Mountaineers go, man, Javon Small. West Virginia shot 41% from the field again, which you'll take every single day of the week. 3-pointers, we were 11 for 30, so we're right in line with our average on the season, although, we should have been a little better, being that we almost made 10 in the first half. And we only made, 2 in the second half, maybe 3, I can't remember. We had a really bad day at the free throw line, 12 to 20. That's unusual for this team. That won't be every week, but you look at who we got to the line, that has to do with it. Andre had a bunch of shots at the free throw line. Then you've got Oconee at the line who missed a couple. It's just we had a bad night. I don't think that'll be the case every day. We won the rebounding battle, 40 to 38. We'll take that. We had 2 more defensive rebounds, the same amount of offensive rebounds. And look, if Hansberry's healthy, a few of those 50-50 balls go our way, in my opinion. It was just the way things looked. Eduardo Andre had 10, 4, and 7. He was close to a double-double. Javon Small, what can you say with a double-double? 24 points, 11 rebounds, and 4 assists. That's all-American caliber numbers. You'll take that every day of the week, man. Jonathan Powell was 17 points. It's kind of a quiet 17. I felt like he had a great first half, and then his second half he fell off, which is what freshmen do. He had a lot of mistakes, right? He had the technical. He had a couple balls that he missed the layup. He had the pass that tipped off his fingers. So I get it. Like, there is still growing for him to do, and I understand that he was getting frustrated. You could see it. But, man, he was able to finish strong with that 3 at the end of the game, and that really helped turn the momentum back in our favor. But outside of those two guys, not very much help from anybody else except offensively. I mean, you look at Sincere Harris, he had 9 points. Toby O'Connie only had 5. Monty Hansberry had 6. KJ had 0. Yesufu had 0. Jake Auer had 0. We need more help, if we're going to continue to be as good as we can be. And I think Hansberry will get back into the scoring flow as things pick up in the next couple of weeks. He's still injured. It's obvious that he's injured. So I don't expect him to continue to put out low scoring outputs. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, let's talk a little bit more about Javon Small and just the kind of run he's on, and we'll put a bow on this. Stick around. This is Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by FanDuel, guys. The NFL playoffs are almost here, but it's not too late to get in on the regular season action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers can finish the season strong with $250 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. FanDuel has so many ways for you to pick up the W, which I love, betting on which players will score a touchdown and how many each teams will score. You can do the same, guys, at FanDuel. You can bet on who will score a touchdown, how many points each team will score, and a lot more. All you have to do is go to FanDuel.com to join today. That's FanDuel.com for your chance at $250 in bonus bets. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. All right, and we are back. So, Javon Small, man, I know I mentioned a lot about him in the first segment, but I just want to dedicate a couple of minutes to him because he could end up being the best guard we've ever had, outside of maybe Jerry, Hot Rod, and a couple others. Obviously, Javon Carter's on that list. But, man, offensively, he is as gifted as I've seen in a Mountaineer uniform as a guard. And he is so perfect. He fits our mentality as Mountaineer fans. He's tough. He is a big shot maker. He has a high IQ. What about that play in the first half? When the defender was reaching, and so he caught his arm and went up and caught it. I thought that was beautiful because you're taught to do that. If a defender is in your, like, let's say a defender's in your area, let's say they're into your chest or whatever, like they've got their fingertips on your chest, you're taught in triple threat position to rip through and up, right? That's what you're taught. And if you rip through and up on those, you can draw fouls sometimes. It's very simple. Like, it's smart in the moment because these are college basketball players. There's a lot of pressure. It's something you're taught going back into high school, at least I was. Rip through and up and try to draw that foul. But to pull it off against elite defenders with elite hand-eye coordination and reflex time, and on a three at that, it's just not something you think of when you're in the moment getting guarded. And it's not like he does it all the time. Like, it's very selective. It's similar to what he did at the end of the Kansas game, right? Darren DeVries, great coaching again, obviously. They had a guard switch. They had a guard screen for a guard, right? So as Javon comes off, they switch. He's now on a big guy because the big guy was guarding one of the guards. So there's a switch. Now Javon Small's on a big. He hits him with the hezzy pump fake and gets him in the air, right? those are the things that Javon Small does from a thinking man standpoint that you really just can't teach. Because in the moment, there are guys that are cool, calm, and collected like Javon. And then there are guys like Toby O'Connie who kind of are more bull in China shop that unfortunately, and I've had Toby on the show. I love Toby. I do. I love Toby. But he sometimes I think he would even say he kind of puts his head down and just like I used to do it too as a player. And I'm not saying I was a college player or anything like that, but like I was scared of my coach in high school. This is just personal about me, but I was kind of scared of my coach in high school because he yelled at me a lot. Not scared of him. I was nervous to get in trouble, so it made me play worse. I would go to my church league, which had, it had my church was huge. It had like 4,000 people, so it was enormous in West Virginia at that. 2,000 twice on Sunday. So there was a lot of good basketball players there from around the region. There was Huntington High. Like there were guys when OJ Mayo, Patrick Patterson were at Huntington High. Like that's when I was in school. There were guys from Ashland, Kentucky, from Ohio there. Just OJ Mayo was around at that time. We played against. But anyways, like I would go there and then have 20, 30 points. And in high school, I just at my, in our more rigid style of basketball, I would just couldn't think because I was so nervous to make a mistake. And that's what Tony O'Connie reminds me of. I would just put my head down. I remember one time I was on the baseline and a guy pursued on because I was a shooter. So I just, he because I like to go left and then pull up. He attacked my left hand, and so I just ripped through and took the baseline. And as I went through the baseline, I was in such a hurry, I tried to do a reverse layup and just threw it off the bottom of the backboard. That's the kind of stuff that I would do because I was so nervous. Boom, off the bottom of the backboard. So that's kind of what Toby reminds me of sometimes, man. He's just always if he can get it, if he can slow down, he could be as talented as anybody on this roster. He's got the ability, God-given ability, if he'll just slow down a little bit. I just wish he would and think because he goes in, he slips, he falls, he crashes into stuff. And a lot of the times, man, he loves driving at the rim, which I love, but man, he passes up open shots a lot too by doing that. So we need another person that can be cool, calm, and collected like KJ is, but he's a freshman and he's not going to be in during those moments a lot. So I think Hansberry is to an extent, but he's not going to have the ball in his hands a lot. So, that's my biggest fear is obviously this is a very Javon Small. We're going to live and die with Javon Small, basically. That's what it's going to come down to. You look at like what Kemba Walker did with UConn. They went all the way to the national championship game. I think he and Javon Small, very similar players. Kemba Walker may be a little bit better scorer, but Javon Small is really, really good, obviously. And I think that's the very good comp because Kemba took those guys all the way to the Natty. I think we'll go as far as Javon Small takes us. If that's the national championship, I believe he could do something like that, especially next year. I don't think, because from what I understand, he might get another year. He may have already had another year. If he a junior or senior, somebody let me know. I can't remember off the top of my head. But I know with everybody getting another year, maybe we'll get lucky and he can come back with Tucker and everybody. So that would be insane. Obviously, no doubt. We'd have to pay him to stay, but it'd be worth it. And it's going to be exciting either way. This is going to be a team that nobody expected anything from, but is doing the most. And that's what they've proven to be so much. We're 11-2. Raise your hand in the class if you thought we would be 11-2. I didn't see it coming. And it's not like we have how the best way I can phrase this. Like if you go back and talk about that 2010 team, name the dudes that were on that team, right? There were some dudes on that team, like really, really big time players. On this team, it feels like, okay, Javon Small, Monty Hansberry, and then just some role players that really know their role. I think Javon, like obviously not Javon, but KJ and Jonathan Powell are ascending role players. Like these are both guys that are going to be better than role players eventually. But right now they're kind of role players. Jonathan Powell is probably turning into right in front of our eyes, like as the last 2 games, more than a role player. But up until now, that's kind of what he's been. He's been a 3-and-D kind of guy. Can he be a little more? We need a little more out of Powell. Obviously, he shoots great threes, but if he's not getting that, what's he doing? Well, now he's playing pretty good defense. He had a couple possessions today where I was like, holy crap, where did that come from? So he's got a lot of growing to do still, and it's going to be exciting to see as this team grows. Just like Jay Wright said during the halftime report, we've got to keep ascending somehow. And I don't know how we do that with the pieces. Maybe you get a Stone. We keep talking about Stone. We keep talking about him. I think that's the one wild card piece for this team that you look at and say, okay, if he comes back and he plays half as good as he did before, 12 points a game, let's say, because he was a 20 points per game guy last year, you got to say, look out. Up next on Locked On West Virginia, guys, let's put a bow on this episode and talk about next game. Stick around, guys. This is Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is going to be brought to you by Rocket Money, guys. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? Because it's happened to me. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for. Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your financial savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, spending habits, or even goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of $500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, and I've already saved a ton with that. It also helps with my goals feature. I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future, which leads to no more stress about budgeting every month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals with Rocket Money, guys. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedoncollege. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedoncollege. All right, so looking ahead here on this episode of Locked On West Virginia, it's going to get fun the next couple of games. 2 winnable games, which is hard to believe. Before the season, I thought Murderers Row. Arizona, a team that we have already beaten this year, they're going to want revenge, but they're going to have to come into our house and get it. They're playing Cincinnati right now, right? So they've got UCF after us. So we'll see how they look today. They could beat Arizona before you know it. They could be hot coming in because that would make them, 4 or 5 games in a row they've won? Yeah, that would be 1, 2, 3, 4 games in a row for them if they win that game. They've beaten Sanford, Central Michigan, TCU, and then Cincinnati, who's really good, obviously, coming into Morgantown, who will be ranked when we play that game on January 7th. We will be ranked. That's for sure. This is going to be a ranked basketball team coming into this coming week. We'll see how our players deal with success. Hansberry is going to be getting more healthy. Stone hopefully is more healthy. Hopefully we finally get him back at some point. And then obviously I personally, like I said, don't feel like we're going to get Tucker back. I don't think that's any revelation. But there's nobody said anything yet. Until they do, we can't, right? So let's give this team all our support, guys. Hopefully the weather's not so bad next week that we have to cancel the game, but Arizona will be in town. That's going to be a fun game against a good team that I hope we can beat. We'll see if we can. Keep coming back, guys. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. Drop a comment below. Let me know what your prediction for the season is on this basketball team. Do you think they'll make the tournament? Do you think they'll be deeper into the tournament? Do you think they can win the Big 12? Do you think they can win the national championship? Let me know where you think this team is and what is your prediction for this team. I'd love to know that right now. That way I can hold you accountable for it down the line when you're wrong. Just kidding. Drink a Mountain Dew with me as we say goodnight. I will be back later, by the way. If you didn't notice, I was able to break some news last night. Both the coaches that we hired today, I was able to put that out. Now, I have certain people to thank for that, but I can't thank them publicly because that will then hurt their sources. But I was able to put tweets out yesterday, if you didn't pay attention, for both the corners and the safeties coach. Go check out my profile at Paul Mountaineer. I was just lucky, right person, right time. Either way, I was able to put that stuff out. Of course, only Mike Ossity gave me credit. I think Coos did, maybe one other person. So want to thank them for that. But I will be back here in a couple hours to talk about our coaching hires. So be ready for that, guys, and I'll see you then. Until then, like, subscribe, share, comment. See you later. I'm out.